Welcome to Wrestling is Hard, where every side is the dark side of the ring. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at hard. Number 4 wrestling. Email us questions and complaints at wrestlingishard@gmail.com. I'm Jim. Brandon, hello.
Hello, Jim.
Hello. How was your Eagles adventure you want to talk about?
Well, I just told the story beforehand, but yeah, it was a good time. It was 42 degrees and soaking wet against the Jaguars. Game of the year, good times. But the boys are 4-0. The Phillies are in the playoffs for the first time since 2011. Any of this getting you back into the local sports scene, Jim?
Nope.
Haven't even considered it.
Not at all.
Not a red October won't do it?
I did it once.
How about
I did
you,
Red
Chris?
October in 2008. I'm good.
Yeah, I'm all. I mean, look, I watch sports because I work where they watch sports. I don't watch them at home, but I will enjoy watching playoff games at work. That's all I really got. I mean,
What a guy barfing in his eyes at the Eagles game get you going.
that I'll watch every day.
That I'll watch.
10 times a day. I will tell you this.
Yes, do it.
What I kind of don't get is this. So, we've it's perfectly okay to insult the shit out of somebody online in social media forums and kind of look down on them for being a sports fan. I don't know why this is okay. We're not allowed to. You shouldn't. I won't say we're not allowed because you can do whatever the fuck you want. You know my feeling on that. But you really shouldn't, make fun of people for the way they look, the way they dress, their whatever. Shouldn't do it. But if you're a sports fan, and I guess it's because it's associated with a certain type of person, it's perfectly okay to mock sports fans for being sports fans online.
I don't see this.
I see it all the time. I don't understand how grown men can watch other grown men play a game and be so excited.
That's fine.
I will say,
Some people
I
are
don't
just
give a
fucking
shit.
haters.
And look, once again, I don't care, but it's just like, I've been on this big pointing out hypocrisy crap kick the last few weeks, because, we're all fucking hypocrites. If you just admit it, it's cool. Be a hypocrite. But I find it funny.
Brandon, good.
I will say they're like local sports, as we were just talking about this guy, they're like, oh, sports ball, like that kind of specific kind of hipster is just worn its welcome out with me, where I'm like, I get it. You don't like sports. It's no longer hip to not like sports. Just shut the fuck up about it.
That's
It's
what I'm
okay.
talking
I don't
about.
talk about shit that you don't like.
Well, when I was younger, I was a big Eagles fan. Every fucking sport. They all come around when they realize they're missing out on the fun. Before you know it, every fucking hipster's got a friggin' Sixers shirt on or something like that. You'll see it. It happens.
Yeah.
That happened at the Super Bowl.
Happened with the Phillies.
Phillies for sure.
In 07. Yeah, 100%.
07 was the big year. Man.
They couldn't sell tickets to a brand new stadium. They were, baseball's like that, right? It's a different animal. You get in the middle of August and it's 100 degrees and nobody wants to sit in South Philly in the fucking heat and sweat their ass off and watch a team lose in the sport that is relatively slow.
Right.
So, I get it. But then it was, Phillies. Everybody was a Phillies fan. I got to get a Phillies hat. And now they're, it's just the nature of it.
Sports fans and Italians you can just make fun of relentlessly.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter. But you know what, though?
They're
I'm
not
going to
really
be honest
people.
with you. Growing up as in an Italian-American family, they deserve it.
Yes, they do. Maron.
Hey, ooh, Maron. Scars to me. Abagagagoo. Hey,
Lot of this hand.
gabago, gabagi.
It is funny that there's like, that's
I
the
learned that
last. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna,
He wasn't going to say anything.
I learned that on Duolingo.
Yeah, Brandon.
That's like the last beacon of tropey racism. It's like we've stuck up for everyone, but the Italians, you can just keep being like, I'm Luigi Primo. I make it a pizza. I'm a fucking idiot.
On national television.
On national TV.
Well, you're kicking them in the face. And Italians don't get mad. That's the thing. They just say, fuck it. Yeah, that's
I know something to do.
That's cool.
Our people have been around since the turn of the millennia.
More Italians have fought and died for this country in the militaries of the United States of America than any other ethnicity. Which is true, but who cares?
I mean, if that's true, shout out to them, but still, they get bullied like a motherfucker.
Yeah. That's all right. They earned it. Let's talk about wrestling. How about that? Unless Chris,
Ooh,
you got
no, I
anything
have
you wanna
something to
talk
show. Yeah.
Go ahead, go
So, wrestling podcast, and if you watch on video, you know that it is an intersection of my two worlds: the wrestling and the action figure podcast. Well, not podcast, but this week I attained from 1986 Sergeant Slaughter
Oh,
and
no
the
shit.
Triple T Tag Team Terminator.
Is that what his tank is? Look at that
Pretty
thing.
sick.
Yep.
Let's get a
There's the
close up of
Sidget.
him. There he is. He's so buff.
So,
Sergeant Slaughter never
couple
looked that
things.
good.
Couple things. Sergeant Slaughter, Jim Slaughter, the sergeant in the Marine Corps, never served 1 second in the United States military.
Unlike the Italians.
Yeah,
Unlike all the Italians.
Number two, I got three things. Number two, traded on GI Joe logo on his uniform without asking Hasbro for quite a while in the AWA because nobody was watching or gave a shit.
Very good.
And three, was never at any point in his career or life that fucking buff.
Look at him tits.
Look at him. Look at the fucking traps on him.
Yeah, he is pretty busty.
Look at the fucking
action
traps.
figure.
He was a barrel in real life.
I mean, his head
And
looks
he
good
used-
though.
He used to, yeah, he's great. And he used to annoy me that the way his back is shaped, I could never stick him in my helicopter. I had to stay in the seat. And he was a sergeant, so he would sit in the seat in the helicopter because that's where the sergeant would sit. That's what I always thought. And he fell out of it. Well, he couldn't. Well, first of all, he couldn't sit in the front because his hat was so dumb that the cockpit wouldn't close, and then his back was so dumb that
'Cause he's buff.
peg in there because he's buff.
There you go.
Tag
It's funny
team
you brought that
Terminator
up. I just
with
saw a video.
the box. I got this.
I just
This
saw a
is
video of
big
Sergeant
fun.
Slaughter
Nice.
earlier today
Yeah, good.
on TikTok, and it was like one of those adult wrestling fans that goes to. That's all I really need to say. That goes to autograph signings.
It's funny that we make fun of adult wrestling fans because we are adult wrestling fans. If anything, I am. But why can't they? Why do they have to be geeks? I'm not a geek.
Yeah, you are.
You just it's
Scale.
it's like just
Sure.
a comic book guy. You know who I'm talking about. It was like him and Brutus the Barber Beefcake, like with a cane, going into a comic book shop in fucking Ithaca, New York, or some sad place like that. And the guy was like, "Brutus,
Insult everybody?
did you really cut people's hair, or did you have a prop to do that?" And he's like, "Well, anybody except Sergeant Slaughter's hair." And he panned over to old Sergeant Slaughter sitting there with like a big Dunkin' Donuts coffee, bald, takes his hat off. I'm like, man, it is not the heyday, or not the heyday, the twilight years for these guys is not pretty. They're like they're getting on weird like Spirit Airlines planes to the city or cities and towns that no other airline goes to, and making like a net like $80 after the flight cost to sign a couple things. But anyway, I was just thinking about him earlier. It's funny he came up.
Yeah, I met Rikishi at a weird comic book store in Philadelphia, so we're there.
Yeah, I think I would show out for him.
Yeah.
What do we got?
What do we got? Okay. Speaking of wrestlers who were worn down, Jesus Christ, Antonio Inoki died. Legendary professional wrestler of New Japan Pro Wrestling fame. Legendary Carney. Forced his company out of business multiple times and attempted to do it with New Japan Pro Wrestling, but he RIP'd. He wouldn't look so hot by the end. Chris, you got any thoughts about good old Antonio Inoki?
No, he was the what would we consider him? I guess like the godfather or the grandfather of MMA,
Yes.
right? I mean, he literally legitimately did fight Ali. Very weird situation, but you know, not
Muhammad Ali we're talking about, not
Muhammad
Ali.
It
Not
was just the fight
Mustafa
itself.
Ali from WWE.
No, Muhammad Ali. Very, you know, I mean, there's a whole backstory to it. I'm not going to get into it. There's books out there. Go read them. Go look online. Wikipedia. I heard this website. It's got a lot of information on it. I think it's what's it called? Wikipedia. It's all true. So go check that out. But yeah, he was a legitimate shoot wrestler, legitimate martial artist. And people would line up to get their faces slapped. Jim, would you get your face slapped by Inoki? I think I would.
Absolutely.
I think I would let Inoki-san slap my face.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. I'd be in that big line, that famous like video of the giant line going in the ring and all the way up the ramp at like Tokyo Dome or
With his
some
music
shit.
playing.
And he's
Yeah.
just cracking the shit out of somebody. Also, some of the best entrance music in wrestling history.
Yeah, absolutely. You hear that
Fucking
shit, the
great.
crowds would go absolutely insane. So was it Minoru Suzuki said that when he was growing up, there was Kamen Rider, the TV show Kamen Rider, there's Ultraman. Antonio Inoki was bigger than all of that. Like they were for little kids. Antonio Inoki was the tops. Everybody wanted to be like him. It's like saying you're better than Superman. Like that guy's the hero. Pretty cool. Brandon, thoughts?
Yeah, I don't have too much. It's not. I don't feel like I'm properly educated to eulogize him. But you did send me that video of him on his pretty much deathbed there, it appeared like. And it's always strange to see athletes that are at that age where it's a complete skeleton, but you can still see there's like giant shoulders and jaw sticking out. And you're like, man, this guy was fucking something. I can't imagine what I'm going to look like when I'm that old if this guy looks like that. Rest in peace.
Slammed Hulk Hogan a couple of times.
I do have
Not just or Andre the Giant. He slammed Andre the Giant a couple of times, not just Hulk Hogan. Good.
Does anybody know if WWE paid tribute to him last night?
I have no idea. I didn't watch.
Just out of curiosity.
I'm sure they did. Everybody did.
Yeah, I mean, I just I found it. I just found it interesting. I was just curious because I actually turned it on just to see, and they didn't do it in the first. When the show started, they usually do the little, the card. But I didn't see it, and then but most times when it's somebody that didn't really work for them, like they're not a WWE guy, it doesn't start the show. They mix it into the middle of it. I was just curious.
I don't see anything coming up.
What's that?
I don't see anything coming up that they did.
I don't see why they wouldn't. It might have just been flashed on the screen or something like that.
Well, he is a Hall of Famer for them.
He is former. They had mentioned that he had won the title but never was recognized on SmackDown. I saw that somewhere.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, they did flash something. It looks like at least in the arena.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just curious. There you go. Well,
all right, yes, Godfather of MMA. Floyd Muhammad Ali.
Stealing money.
Stole lots of money.
Steal lots of money. Give it all back.
There's Inokiism where he decided he wanted to make New Japan MMA and Pride fighting, and it almost collapsed New Japan.
He had magical powers for a while.
Oh, he did. Yeah, he was using mesmerism.
Yeah,
he was mesmerizing people. And I bet he thinks he could still beat people. Like he would not take a bump for anybody. I'm sure to this day.
Well, if anybody wants to see Inoki at his best / worst / one of the saddest things I've ever seen is him laying a fucking horrible beat down on the great Antonio.
Yes, that's a wild one.
Yeah, it's sad. You feel
there's a real bad match where he's on the jungle. There's a jungle match between him and Mr. Saito, I believe. But there's like giant fires going. The match is fucking terrible. They flew them in to go fight in the jungle. That's fucking terrible.
So good. I love it. It's so bad.
It's terrible.
Fucking
was
horrible.
That great Antonio? Was that when the guy wasn't selling for him, so he just starts really cooking him till he's just like concussed on the ground in the corner?
Yeah, he beats the shit out of him.
If you watch that match, I always took it as this. I've seen that video quite a few times, and I always say like this: if you watch that video, he's no selling, but that was his thing. Great Antonio's thing was the no sell. It wasn't that. It doesn't look like if you watch it, it's not that he was no selling. That's to be expected, especially if it's your gimmick. At one point, he really, really stiffs the shit out of Inoki in the back, and Inoki, whose face is one way the entire match, and then he gets stiffed on the forearm shot to the back of the head, and he comes up and he has a whole different fucking demeanor about him after that shot, and that's when the ass beating begins, and it's really bad. And here's the other thing. I remember Bill Goldberg saying this about when who did he get beat up by Dave Taylor or Regal, one of the two. And he said, he's like, it really doesn't make you all that tough if somebody's giving their fucking body up to you. If somebody's standing there and thinking you're going to work and punch them and you just crack them in the chops that doesn't make you that tough. It makes you a fucking asshole.
Right.
So, and I mean, he shoots, he's taking double legs and then popping them in the face. It's really sad, and it's kind of gross.
There you go. The legendary.
Legend. But you can't define the guy by one thing. I'm just pointing out this thing that happened. That's all.
He was huge.
I'd still let him slap my face,
Yep.
especially his corpse.
One of the funniest eulogies I ever heard was that guy Joey Diaz. He was talking about some club owner, and he does that kind of like what you just did, where you just drift into all the fucked up stuff that they did, and he goes, he zones out, and he goes, "Yeah, that guy did a lot of creepy things. Rest in peace." That's the funniest way you could close out somebody's life.
Did a lot of creepy shit. He's a wrestler. I believe in the text thread we have. I said, Carney's gonna Carney.
Yep.
That's what they fucking do.
Yep. New
Scorpion
Japan.
and Frog.
New Japan plan to name him their honorary chairman of the board or something like that. They had that coming out at their next show, and they've decided to not do it. So there you go. They're just going to do a tribute to him. R.I.P. He couldn't make it.
He'd manage to steal money from him dead if he was a fucking chairman of the board. Still managed to fucking Carney them.
Steal the coins out of their eyes as they die. Like a true brigand that he was. All right, Brandon, I got a question for you. Are you sick of this bullshit backstage at AEW yet, or what?
I mean, unless it involves a guy biting somebody else, I've been sick of it. The only time I wasn't sick of it was a brief moment in time.
So Andrade and once again Sammy Guevara are going at it on social media, calling each other liars. And according to the story, Andrade did an interview with I believe a Mexican. I'm to assume it was a Mexican podcast or streaming service or something like that. And he basically said that he was, they were going, I guess Sammy Guevara complained that he was hitting him too hard and like complained and was whining about it. And I don't know, but then they start fighting on social media, and I think, come on with this shit. Real quick, let's talk about AEW real fast, because I just want to say this. They got like, whether it's their fucking, it's a storyline or it's real, they've got about 20 storylines going where someone wants to quit the company. Like, this is fucking terrible. Brandon, thoughts?
Yeah, I went every single time they came to Philadelphia until this past week, and I'm like, was just relieved. It just felt good to not be at it, which I think says a lot. It's interesting for me because I wasn't really around in a sense where I was giving a shit about dirt sheets during WCW, but so for me, this is the first time I'm looking at Vince McMahon through a different lens of being like, well, look what happens when you try to let these guys just have a little bit of freedom, and it's just idiot after idiot popping up on a weekly basis at this point. They can't. I think I saw you say this, Jim. They can't get through 1 week without somebody having to like disparage the business.
It's just, let's not pretend that this type of shit doesn't happen in WWE. I'm sure they're fist fighting backstage and arguing all the time. The problem is that they have somebody that's like, you are not allowed to put this on social media, or you're fired, or you're suspended, or you won't end up on TV. Instead, you got these guys bickering. You know what I mean? Like, every job has people that don't like each other. That's just work, especially when you work with as many people. Look at the roster of AEW, how many fucking people are on there. People are not going to like each other. It's a matter of doing your job, though. You got to go out there and fucking do it. And this shit is just corny at this point. Chris, thoughts?
Yeah, it's funny. First of all, I just want to say that every job does have people that you don't like, and at my job, I'm that person for everybody else. It's kind of all centralized in a spider web of hate, and I'm the spider in the middle that everyone hates. The spider web's out for me. I'm that guy. Yeah, we talked about it. Well, first of all, you have no boss, right? I mean, for the longest time, there were people that, I think there's still a lot of people out there that think that Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks are part owner of this company, which they're not. You have people who are in, all right. When I'm at work, and my boss tells me to do things a certain way, I do them. whether I think they're right or wrong. My boss told me to do it that way, and that's what I do. It's not my job to question what my boss wants me to do. My input is appreciated, but at the end of the day, it doesn't fucking matter. And it doesn't seem that there's a boss in this company. I mean, there's a guy who owns it, right? And then a bunch of other people kind of maneuvering and telling, doing whatever the fuck they want. And the big thing is the social media thing. Any job, you bitch and moan about your coworkers or your job on social media, they're gonna fucking fire you. It's like standard practice at this point. You get on there and you say, I hate Buffalo Wild Wings. Buffalo Wild Wings is going to fire you. Now, I don't know anything about Buffalo Wild Wings.
Chris, are you a big Buffalo Wild Wings fan? I've never had any.
Not that I ever worked there or anything. It's not like at one point in my life, that was the only place that would hire me. I'm just saying that I'm just using that business out of, just random chance. But if you bitch and moan about work on social media, I would expect to get fucking fired or to be severely reprimanded. And you're also in a business that is loaded with egos, and the nature of the business, you go out there and you beat each other up. So there's going to be, I think that in any, this is not a normal situation, right? We're in a world that no other company in the world or no other business in the world is like. You're in there. So I think that as a boss, there has to be an allowance for some kind of guys getting in each other's faces, guys not liking one another. It's got a lot of egos. You have to give them a wide berth of the shit they can get away with and the shit they can't. But at this point, you just got to start fucking shit canning people or telling them to shut the fuck up or you're fired. Because this is sad. And if it's all a work, it's even more sad because, like Jim said, you got 20 I'm quitting stories going on in one fucking company. These guys, if this continues, there's no way that this company can fucking survive. They're going to end up on Sinclair Media with the Ring of Honor title. That's it.
It begs to, the question is, wrestling has like waves. Like when things are big and, like the Attitude Era, the NWO, WCW. Most recently, I guess the big thing would be New Japan Pro Wrestling before AEW. New Japan Pro Wrestling was the top. Then the pandemic happened. And now we have AEW, who was ascendant. Are we 3 years in AEW now? 3 years is like a magic number, man. Like it looks like we are at a precipice of whether this, because this is, to me, honestly, and we talked about it right before we came on, I'm not enjoying this. I do not enjoy AEW now, especially since all the bullshit. It's like, it's not cool anymore. It lost its edge. It lost its newness. And to me, it's becoming cornball. And it's becoming amateur. And I'm not that excited to get, like, that we turned down going. We could have gotten tickets for super cheap and just gone. It's not far from us. It was a hurricane, whatever. But, it's just, it doesn't have the same sachet that it used to have. Brandon, final thoughts on this? Or more thoughts?
I think it's the lack of storytelling is what's been the most surprising to me. It always felt like that was the hole in the market, with WWE being the only show in town. You're like, if you're going to start this, there's so much more to be done. And it's probably the hardest thing to do in pro wrestling, because there's just no real reason why all these people should be constantly wrestling each other.
Constantly fist fighting, unless
it's the crux of the problem with pro wrestling. And it's just, your expectations are low, but they're not non-existent. And I think at least I mentally had chalked that up to being a WWE thing. And we were generally excited to see, like, hey, these guys at this point have grown up during the 80s and 90s pro wrestling when the storytelling was strong. At least I think that it was. It's remembered as that to me. As they must have something more that they want to do. And you watch these guys, it's obvious that they have the control, because if they don't, who does? Nobody thinks Tony Khan does. and they're just kind of just kicking the opportunity right into the fucking gutter, is what it seems like. Or if I would have paid any amount of money, even the cost of the Uber for me to get from my spot in Philadelphia to the Liacouras Center and watched a 20-minute segment where the crux of it was a purple bucket hat being given to a kid. You're just like, they're really just not, and that's their best guy at storytelling is Chris Jericho. Like, this is really just a disappointing effort by the wrestlers.
Chris, final thoughts.
Yeah, I was going to say, you said that we decided not to go. It was not even a thought, right? We never actually even really. So think about it. It wasn't just that we decided. We sat down and we talked about it and we decided not to go. It was, do you want to go? No. Right. Number one, that was the first thing. Number two, yeah, that's what you said, right? No storytellers. I mean, even in the WCW days when they were hot for a little bit, if you get into, I believe we mentioned the Nitro, the Guy Evans book. If you get into it, there is creative issues. But if you really look at it, there were no more creative issues than WWE had during the heyday of Nitro. I mean, they all did some bad shit. We often talk about the fact that like WCW had these great undercards on Nitro and shitty main events. And WWE, if you go back and watch that Attitude Era stuff, the undercard is absolute garbage and the main events are good. It's just the opposite, right? So, both companies were guilty of putting some shitty stuff on television. The difference between the two was that you had a merger which kind of ate up WCW, whatever. That's the one story behind that. But I guess what I'm getting at is that both of those companies, you had a direction that you were going in and you followed that person's direction, right? So you had Eric Bischoff, you followed the direction and the booking committee and the way that they were going to go, or you went with Vince McMahon, you followed the way that his vision went, and that was it. Now you have people who have there have to be like, you can't have all colonels, right? You can't have all officers. You have to have rank and file guys who understand their place and do what they're told. And the guys that are able to do what they're told without being watched, and this goes for any kind of job. If you go and you're the guy that can do his job without being told, or watched over, Chris, I need you to go do this, and you do it without fucking it up. You do it to the best of your ability every time. The result's always good. That's what makes a business move forward. When you have a million guys going in a million different directions, it just goes to shit and it makes no sense. And this is what's going on with them, is that there is no, like, the ship is not being steered, right? It's just kind of like, all right, yeah, okay, yeah, you guys do this. Oh, you think that's a good, all right, guys do that. And it's just, I don't know. When I got a text from a friend that was there and said that the fans were booing the shit out of Tony Khan. Tony Khan is not an on-air personality, right? Tony Khan isn't Eric Bischoff, and Tony Khan isn't Mr. McMahon, where they've created this persona that they portray as a heel or a baby face, and you like or dislike them based on that persona. This is just a dude being himself. And I think that there's you're starting to see cracks in the armor of these people who are AEW, because it's not WWE, and we're going to love it because they have these guys that I really like. And they're starting to get like, what the fuck are you doing with these guys? And who are they going to boo? They're going to boo the guy. They're not booing a character. They're booing a person.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's
like booing the coach on a football team.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. And it's just, I don't know. It's very hard for me to wrap my head around what's going on with this company, other than that it's a fucking mess. And when you talk about the stuff, like you said, what's going on backstage, you say, are you sick of it? It's just like I said, it's so dumb and it's so pointless and it's so childish and it's so gross that I don't even think about it. It's just like,
right.
Oh, yeah, this
away
happens.
From it. That's the
It's
thing. If this was happening in your real life and your friends were acting like this week in, week out, you'd be like, I ain't hanging out with these fucking guys this week.
You go to a party, and then after a certain hour, the party gets weird, and you go the fuck home.
You go to fuck home. You're like,
you start looking at people, and they look like they might be doing coke. It's time to go.
Yeah, I got to get out of here, man.
I got to go, man. It's 11 o'clock. Everybody's gone. You just got the weirdos left. The partiers are left. It's like, all right, time to go home, go to bed.
Yeah. I hope for the best for AW, I guess, because what are we going to talk about? Stardom? New Japan's not great. I'm not going back to WWE. It's not happening. And from what I can see, it's not the Triple H effect is not all that strong. It's still WWE.
Yeah.
Do you know what's going on, Chris, with this like White Rabbit Bray Wyatt thing? Have you paid any attention to that?
I probably as much as you do.
Okay.
Just through social media. I guess they're giving QR codes on the screen that are giving numbers and dates, and it's who knows. And they're playing one at the stadium, so I don't fucking know.
I'm not
At least they're trying.
Their numbers are great. Go ahead, Brent.
I'm not as out on WWE as you are, Jim. Not that I have any high expectation, but I'm like, okay. Like this is AEW has now somehow lowered the bar again here where I'm like, we got to talk about something.
We're gonna have to talk about something. Well, luckily we had something really good to talk about.
Well, here's I'm sorry, let me just say one more thing. Here's the thing about WWE. When you think about Jim, if you think about who you would really like out of everybody, like when all right, so when we were watching WWE heavily, you think about the guy. I'm going to say for you, probably I'm going to take one on a limb and say probably Daniel Bryan would be somebody that you would be interested in a storyline for WWE. Well, he's fucking gone, right? We know this is obvious. He's not there anymore. And the guy that you relate to the most and you want to see being a nuanced storyline that's really going to get you involved in it, he doesn't work for the company anymore. You know what I mean? As good as AJ Styles has been for them, AJ Styles is kind of like, one side or the other. He's like he's only one step of the line or the like one step over the line in each way towards when he's a babyface and a heel. Great wrestler, but like, personality wise, he's probably one of the better ones they've had. But other than him, there's really nothing. Right? I mean, they got guys that really work, but it's just like there's like you don't have anybody that's pulling me, that's making me watch.
That's why I mentioned that White Rabbit thing, because it's supposed to be Bray Wyatt, and then like if I in the future I'm wrestling pop-up and some kids asking me who were the interesting storytellers of that decade, I think he would be close to the top of that list in Bray Wyatt. So I'm like, well, maybe he can fucking do something.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Move the needle. Let's see.
Anyway,
I'm not coming back. I'm not coming back to WWE. I'm not doing it. You guys can, if you make me do it, I'll do it. And I will complain the whole time.
I can't wait. Like, we're going to be doing this podcast in like 5 years, 10 years,
20 listeners. Though
we're going to have like 22 listeners. Right? And Jim's going to be like, I just want to remember this date if WWE ever gets really good. Because Jim will point out the fact that he'll have a never Colburn brack, and they talk about how great it is. So
if we have anything, it's staying power here. We're not budging away from putting down that content every week.
Hard work. We're grinding.
Grind.
Yep. 96 downloads a couple weeks ago. I figured out why. In my descriptor, I mentioned Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings. That's how we ended up
doing it.
I'm gonna keep on. I'm just gonna put a bunch of different weird shit in there.
The show is kind
Whatever's
of like
hot.
Game of Thrones.
What's hot right now?
Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones. Just sneak it in a couple times.
I listened to this because I wanted to hear about Game of Thrones. It turns out just wrestling podcast.
Bunch of wrestling
Fuck
dorks.
These guys.
I wanted to hear them talk about how there's black elves, and how mad I am. Anyway, let's talk about the Stardom
Black Hobbit. You're talking Black Hobbit right now?
Black Hobbits. 5-star Grand Prix 2022. The final was the last weekend. I rented it. Yep, I bucked up. I watched that shit live. $40? No. I forget how much it was. It was like $35.
Dropping 70 on crap ass AEW.
Dude, it was fucking totally worth it.
100%.
Yep, I got up late at night. I watched it. We had Razor Ramon Hard Gay on commentary, which was awesome. Are you guys familiar with Razor Ramon Hard Gay?
No, I'm not. But I thought this was that the guy in the Village People outfit?
Yes, it's Razor Ramon.
I thought that was Milano Collection.
No, that's his cousin.
I just assumed.
There was some the pomp and circumstance. It was quite the fucking show. I'm gonna bang through some stuff real quick. First up, Mina Shirakawa defeats Natsupoi. That was a big fucking match. I'm not going to go through all these matches, but I'm going to talk about the stuff that was fucking wild as shit. We had a bunch of people that were tied going into this. Chris, how you feeling about Momo Watanabe defeating Hazuki? How about that match?
She's the most interesting heel in wrestling right now, I believe. Right? I mean, she's just, I'm enthralled when I see her. I was watching this yesterday, and when this match came on, right as the match before it ended, you brought up Natsupoi, Amina Shirakawa, with Natsupoi losing to a fucking figure four, which blew me the fuck away.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I don't think I've ever seen that. All my years of wrestling, I don't think I've ever seen anybody tap out to the figure four.
Dude, Mina Shirakawa gets down and sits down and makes Natsupoi grapple with her. Dude.
Yep. Yeah, it was good.
Fucking awesome.
She was butt scooting. That was good.
Mm-hmm.
But Momo, I ran upstairs. This is where I'm at with Momo. I ran upstairs to do whatever, get a drink, do whatever. I came downstairs. Momo was in the ring. I had to rewind because I had to see her come out. I'm enthralled. I'm captivated.
She's awesome.
Momo. Yeah. And she has a fucking murderous finisher.
Yep.
Yeah.
Peach bomb.
And I thought I had to actually Google it because I forgot she was the Black Peach.
Mm-hmm.
And when I saw the screen behind her, I thought it said Black Bitch. Apparently it said Black Peach because she was blocking the bottom part. And I was like, does that say Black Bitch? And when I Googled Momo Watanabe, Black Bitch,
Black face.
I got porn.
Nice.
It was
Excellent.
really weird.
Awesome. Good. Do that on your incognito. Brandon, thoughts on this match?
Not worried about that.
Yeah, just on Momo, same feeling over here. Jimmy, very appreciative that Jimmy shares his love for Stardom with me. But sometimes when I see that I have 7 hours of Joshi wrestling to watch, my first thought is like, fuck me. Just
Mine's
is what it is.
him, but there you go.
Yeah, I respect him enough not to say fuck you, Jimmy, but I'm like, fuck me, this is going to be a thing. So I started with Momo and Kirkuen just because I'm like, this will get me in a good mood. But skipping to this match, Jesus Christ, love the baseball bat coming out with that. Hazuki, at a point in this thing, in my memory, was trending towards the top, and she just kept losing, and it looked like to this point she had completely lost her mojo and just gets the absolute shit beat out of her to the point where she's getting her head smashed into a steel chair. Fucking hachi-machi there. Then you get the first one out of the way as far as the this blue side of the tournament, which was much simpler than the red side that you need like at least a bachelor's in bracketology to understand what has to happen on the last day.
Yeah, it was insane. Yeah, Hazuki 7-0, and then she lost her last 5 matches. And her last one, she got the.
Is that what it was? Wow.
Yeah. Momo coming out to, you said with the baseball bat, she fucking full on swung that thing and cracked it against the fucking, broke it in half against the ring post. Hazuki ducked it by like seconds.
I will tell you that. Can I just really quick? One thing about Momo too is like her face is. It's so unbelievably unique. I've never seen anybody with a sneer like that in my life, in real life or in wrestling. It's just I'm fucking mesmerized by her. I truly am. She's just a fucking great heel. If you're watching wrestling and you're not checking Momo Watanabe out, I mean, look, along with the rest of this shit, but we'll just put her because we're talking about her. You're not checking Momo Watanabe out. You're fucking missing that. You're fucking up. Go Google her. Go watch some videos. She's fucking.
Google that shit. Next, we'll talk about Mayu Iwatani against Starlight Kid. Starlight Kid with the big grand entrance. Mayu being the goofball. She comes out. They put on a banger. Starlight Kid cannot beat can't beat Mayu Iwatani, no matter how much she tries. She's tried all her finishers but one. Remember, this is the woman that betrayed Mayu and joined Odayo Tai against her will, but eventually became evil. Okay, Brandon, thoughts?
Yeah, some serious emotion here from Starlight Kid to start. Probably my favorite part about this match, and I think and Stardom's in a place in my mind where as they're telling the stories for this tournament, it's no problem for them to set up stories for future years or future tournaments, which is impressive to see considering the conversation that we just had. And I think that's kind of what we get here. Mayu Iwatani, I thought for sure was cooked multiple times. Just kept kicking out at the last second, getting the rope break just when she needed it, and leave Starlight Kid, who's a pretty aggressive, uh, attitudey young wrestler. All of a sudden now I'm imagining a place where you're like, what the fuck do I have to do to get past this lady?
Chris, good.
Yeah, Starlight Kid's, she's something. She's going to be big time for them for a while. They got something really special with her, which is good. I liken Mayu to Tana. To boil it down, she would be the extreme baby face, but kind of edgy. She has a nasty streak about her.
Yeah, we watched her cheat a couple of weeks ago against Suzuki.
So, but this was great. I like Mayu. I like them both. You're not going to get any complaints out of this match from me. I think Brandon covered the most. You guys covered most of it, so definitely a thumbs up there.
Yeah, I like to. Starlight Kid goes for a new finisher, which is the Eternal Foe. It's a Spanish fly, but unlike in other wrestling, when you do a Spanish fly, it's just a transitional move. Hers is a finisher, which it should be because it looks ridiculous.
Yeah.
She couldn't land it, though. So it's still there. She could still win. She's got to land that fucking finisher. She couldn't do it.
That's how it works.
Yep.
Can I draw a parallel? Do you mind?
Yeah, good.
So I have a guy I train with. He's a beginner. He takes my back. I've been training for a while. He takes my back. He puts me in a body triangle and he chokes me out every fucking time. This happens in real life. You know what I mean? Like when you see them do in Stardom, especially, you see this, especially this story being told where it's like, dude, it's just that one fucking thing. Why can't I do this? Especially since when it's all cut and dry, I should be fucking superior to this person.
Right.
They got that one fucking thing that nobody's thrown at you, a curveball that you just can't hit. This happens to me in real life. And when they do this here, it's like you see anybody that sits out there like you think that this doesn't fucking happen. If you're listening, you're like, oh, this doesn't happen. It fucking does in real life. So when they do this type of shit, like you said, like, oh man, like, that little thing. I mean, it works in the opposite direction where obviously, Mayu Iwatani is the more established star. She's been around longer. So she would be quote unquote better if you looked at them on paper. But all it takes is if I can just do this one thing, I could win. And you thought you had it, but you didn't do it right.
Yep.
You know what one thing, Jim?
Good.
Sorry. You just reminded me of when you mentioned the finisher there that I kind of like about Stardom. I usually listen to it with the sound off, and a lot of times it's Japanese commentary, and I have no idea what almost any of these wrestlers' finishers are, and in a good way, where almost all of the shit that they're doing is pretty crazy and looks like it could be a finisher, and when it happens, I'm just like, wow. That was sick, but I don't really know that that's a specific named move or anything. I think that actually works well. I'm just so used to watching something where I'm like, oh, this is the one-winged angel. This is the move that never gets kicked out of.
Right.
That's the end of this. And that kind of doesn't exist in this world for me. I think it adds to it.
Maya nails that. I forgot to mention she nails that fucking tombstone pile driver on Starlight Kid. She was nasty, man.
Yeah, it was.
She got that full head tuck in right at the last second, man. That was fucking nasty looking. Great match. Go ahead, everybody, check it out. All right, baby. Here we go. Big one. Let's go back in time. Suzuki and Prominence come into the ring, invade Stardom. How long ago was this? Last year, January? Something like that. Months ago this happened. I remember telling you guys, I was like, keep an eye on this because this is going to be a big fucking storyline. It's going to go throughout the year. Suzuki lost her first 3 matches. She goes on a run. She is now tied with Julia at the top of the fucking bracket. And I said, as soon as this schedule comes out, and I said it before about G1 Climax, you don't want to be ruined on how this tournament's going to go. Never look at the schedule at the end because it'll tell you. As soon as I saw that matchup at the end, we get Julia versus Suzuki. Holy shit balls. Talk about emotion. This match was fucking awesome. Brandon, thoughts?
I don't know, man. I kind of want to just kick it right back to the point guard here, Jim. I'm. This is your thing. This is your girl. I think you should just solo here. Talk about it.
So there's we're going to talk about Julie at the end of this because her story has been years long to culminate in this final. But there's something that is lacking in a lot of professional wrestling, and it's real life stuff. Now, of course, we get real life stuff in AEW, but it's stuff that's petty. It's about, like, you didn't put me over. Ooh, you hit me too hard in the match. Ooh, your dog bit me. It's petty as shit. The story established in this: Suzuki and Julia were in ice ribbon wrestling. They were roommates. Suzuki was like fucking 16. She looked up to Julia. They were best friends. And then Julia didn't tell her she was leaving because she didn't tell anybody when she was leaving. She just skated out and went and joined Stardom. It was big news when she joined Stardom. That was November, I believe, of 2019 when she joined Stardom. Fast forward to the January, Suzuki comes back. They leave Ice Ribbon. They form Prominence. They invade, quote unquote, invade Stardom. And the storyline is, you left me. You left me behind. She's crying in the ring. You left me. You fucked me over. And Suzuki, throughout the entire year, every time she's been in Stardom, it's been building. How she left her. She left her. And Julie at the beginning was like, listen, I moved on to bigger and better things. You got to get over it. And the climax of all this is they finally face off in a match that matters. The two of them in a ring, based in the story is based in real life stuff that really happened. Leaving behind, like, it's like stuff you write in a movie. I'm sorry, I had to leave you behind. I had to do it. I had to move on. Then that person that you left behind catches you. Says, why the fuck did you do that? You fucked me up for so long. When it comes down to it, it's like, I had to do what I had to do. It was nothing against you. And then we have a match out of it. Fucking tears at the beginning, tears at the end. A draw. Well-placed draw. Julie goes through at 1 point. Wins her group. Go ahead, Brandon, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it. I that was an ISO situation for the podcast, so you had to take that one. What a finish to the fucking match, where Julia's kind of realizes that the clock's ticking and she's not going to hit her hard enough at this point to finish her, and she just lets her unleash on her for a little bit there, and as the bell's ringing, hugs her. Just like, I'm so fucking sorry for everything that you just explained. And Suzuki, a perfect turn of storytelling here, as she goes for the handshake, slaps it away. It's just like, no. This is all the youthfulness and talent in the world here. I'm not. This is nowhere near past this.
We're not friends. I don't forgive you yet.
Plenty to solve still. I just thought that was fantastic. And the way that they lined everything up, that a draw was enough to push her over, is just smart. That's the only way I can describe it.
Chris, good.
I don't have anything to say about the match because you guys nailed it. I can't really add to it. I will say this: just the simple use of story, use of real life situations to tell a story that gets us to the point where they're actually in the ring in tears before the match starts, right? Actual legitimate emotion puts this match as most likely match of the year for me. I mean, it's just and then the match is everything you guys said. What goes on at the end. You have the slapping of the hand, all this other stuff that goes on, and now you set yourself up. First, you have a draw, right? Where the draw is definitely has its ups and downs. Sometimes they use it well. Earlier on, they used it in the double count out, and it was just choppy and shitty. But you set this up for another long-term telling of a story, because if you think Suzuki's just going to go away, I think you'd be silly to think that, right? Technically, she doesn't work for Stardom, correct?
Right.
But if you think that it's just like, oh, there's a one-shot deal and blah blah blah, no, I'm fairly certain that they do something that pro wrestling refuses to do, which is give it a fucking rest, right? Draw back, and then when people forget that it happened, you bring it back. Draw it back just enough to where people start to move on. And just when they start to move on, you bring this back, and this comes back around. I mean, this was just phenomenal. What you were talking about the tap and like it reminded me of the tap in the real emotion, like when fucking Ric Flair was supposedly banging Lacey Evans and his daughter went nuts, and it was like real, right? Like it was probably one of the best promos I ever watched because they acted like she acted like a real human being, not a wrestler.
Right.
That
And
match with
this is
Nia
what was
Jax,
going.
they're like beating the shit out of each other. I think was around that time.
Right.
What's
Like,
that? Yeah.
that match with Nia Jax, they're beating the shit out of each other. That's
Yeah.
like one of the last WWE matches I remember watching. You're like, oh,
Right.
shit,
And
someone's
it was just-
actually
you're
expressing something here.
you're being like real. It's being real. And that's what this was. I mean, this was just fucking phenomenal. I love it. It's just so fucking good.
Yeah. And Julia wins. She wins the block A. That one. And we move on. Trying to think if I have any final thoughts on it. Yeah, like you said, we will see Suzu Suzuki again. She's coming back. It's only a matter of time. Koguma does a surprise like she often does and beats Utami Hayashishita. And as Rossi Ogawa often does, he sends someone out in fucking Halloween costume. Like unexplained. There's someone in a Halloween costume. The Scream guy comes out. And Natsuko Tora, who we watched get injured in a match against Utami 2 years ago again. I guess it was a year and a half ago. She blew her knee out. She's back. She's cleared, and she calls Utami out. She's like, you promised me you were going to save the red belt for me, and you lost it. So now you have to wrestle me. Brandon, thoughts?
Yeah, I touched on it earlier, but I've never seen a bracket like this in my life or a tournament final day like this in my life. It's going back to my sports knowledge. I'm used to chasing playoff races and being like, well, we need these the fucking Saints to lose, and I look at this and I'm like, we got a 6-way tie, I think, right. Into the last day, and nobody has the because of the way that it works, nobody has the just control your own destiny, win and you're in. So everybody's just got to be in just a mental state of chaos going into their match. And that the first, well, I guess Azumi lost before this. She technically was still in it, but the first sort of shoe drops here with, who was their star for a while, and Utami loses on a move that just had to be the fucking end of a match. Jesus goddamn Christ, was that wild. I think they did a 540 in the air there.
Right.
I've never seen anything like that. Didn't know as much about what was going on afterwards, but I appreciate that the context with that. That's a year and a half ago was pre-our time.
Chris?
Let me ask you this, because I just assumed now, is this Koguma, is that a normal thing for her to beat Utami?
She's an upset. She's like Saki Kashima. They upset people all the time.
Okay.
Tricksters.
Just because when you see Koguma, she's such a perfect baby face.
Yeah.
Right? That she just looks like that she'd be a pin eater.
Yeah.
I don't want to say a jobber because
if she's in a tag team, she usually eats the pin.
Right, because it doesn't matter. You love her so much. She's so happy. She doesn't need to win. She could put everybody else over. So I was really surprised by that. Just from, a lot of times when when we're watching these shows, she's not in the matches that we really cover too much. So I don't get to watch too much of her. I mean, I'm familiar with her, but just not on how matches work with her in them. When I saw the Scream person or whatever it was come out I knew exactly who it was. Immediately knew who it was. It was obvious. And well, I'd say your name, please, again, because like we first started getting in. Okay, there you go.
Natsuko Tora.
When we first started really covering Stardom is just at the moment in which she was injured.
Yep.
And it looked like she was on the come up. She was on the rise. She was going to take the title, and then, they were going to get behind her, and then she got hurt. I don't know if you noticed this, but after she kind of did like some kind of weird pirouette in the ring and stumbled a little bit, and looked like she might have hurt her knee. And
she went like
I'm good. So yeah, that was great, man. That was cool to see her, though. I was glad, but I did as soon as I saw the person coming down to the ring, I was like, oh, okay, I know what's going on here.
She's back with her pipe.
So let me ask you this, though. I mean,
Good.
Utami's a member of Odotai.
No, Utami
No.
is
Okay,
a
so
member.
that's where I got
She's a
confused.
member of Queen's Quest.
Okay, that's where I got confused. I was like, I didn't think she was, and I was like, wait a minute, what's going on here?
No, she's a member of Queen's Quest with Azumi and Sayakami Tani. Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Thank you.
Well, real quick on that match where Azumi loses, 44 seconds she loses. She comes out. She's got brand new gear on, shiny, golden, silvery, shimmery. 44 seconds. They immediately start going for pins, and 44 seconds is over. Man, you got to mix it up, brother, and that's the way to do it. That was fucking great. I love that match. It was great.
I love that too. I thought it was great. I was amazed. When that happened, I was like, fucking nice, good. This shit happens sometimes.
Switch it up. That's how fights work, right? They can't all be fucking 15 minutes long or whatever the hell they are. Tam Nakano defeats Saki, member of her own group there, the Cosmic Angels, and now she had 16 points. I'm not really going to talk about that match because then it came down to Himika and Maika tied on, I think, around 14 points. Winner, I think if Himika won, she would win the group. But they're tag partners, and they have a draw, double knockout. Carissa, thoughts good.
So yeah, we're getting into the my eyes were starting to go a little bit crossed. I did get listen, and this was good. I mean, this is, we talk about kind of getting lost in the shuffle. That's when you pull something out, your timing, and you pull something out that's going to make people go, oh shit, and wake them back the fuck up again. And this was done at the perfect. It was, you had the Azumi getting pinned in 44 seconds. You do that late in the show, that kind of wakes you up. And then you got Utami losing up, and then you have a return that kind of wakes you up, brings you back in. Right. Then you get Tam Nakano. I was starting, and like I have in my notes, we're starting to get long. Like at this point, I'm starting to get like, okay, I'm sinking. I'm more quickly sinking back into, but they know it. It's like once you go for an extended period of time, and then you start to lose people, and then you bring them back, but you can only get them back for a little bit, and then they start to fade again. Like the fades come faster, right? And then the Tam Nakano match, I started getting a little bit fading during that. Good match, but I was just kind of like, slumping in the couch. And then the double KO and woke me right back up for the next match, which was cool. And
it helps that Himika and Maika were slapping the living shit out of each other, just running at each other at full force. That was fucking rad. Brandon, thoughts?
Yeah, I agree in the sense that this was probably a point in the night where you're getting tired. I think I had the advantage of watching this not live and watching enough of these things to know to like cut through some shit that I'm not going to want to watch. Because your attention is always, there's 2 points or a couple of points where your attention is the highest. It's the very beginning, and that usually gets nuked, especially as of late with the opening matches and a lot of the stuff we've been watching. And then when the people that you were excited for beforehand come up, this was neither of those, but due to like the kind of the timing of where I clicked around, I thought this was as much fun as anything that happened. In my mind, I was like, I wrote down the onslaught continues with these two. Neither of them willing to play second fiddle. What an interesting way to kind of have them both bow out. Right. If you have this 6-way tie, you have to be creative with how everybody's not going to have it, right? And this was as creative as it gets with the two partners here, just beating the living shit out of each other, laying into each other harder than they probably do to other people, because you know exactly what you need to do to beat the person that you're the most familiar with. And they both end up knocking each other out of the tournament and literally knocking each other out. So just another one where I'm like, nice job, guys. This storytelling thing's really making me happy here.
Yeah, good match. Last 2 matches, here we go. So Risa Sera goes against Suri. Suri still had a chance. If she won the group. Risa Sera defeats her. Remember, this was one of our favorite matches from early in the spring where Suri choked out Risa Sera, and Risa Sera wouldn't give up. She just died. And they had to throw the fucking blue towel in. That match is fucking awesome. This is a good one. This was, it had me like for a little while there. I was like, holy shit, she beat her. All right, let's fucking go. Brandon, thoughts?
Yeah, this one had me too. We didn't talk about Siri yet, but she was probably maybe outside of Momo, like my most enjoyable wrestler of the tournament. Oh my God, the submissions that she's throwing up left and right are just ridiculous. I don't think we touched on Tom Nakano at this point, but as we get into the final, this is probably a good time to bring it up. The Siri versus Tom Nakano from the week beforehand
Yeah.
was just fucking outrageous. And I love Shuri has that rear naked choke sunk in on her, and Tom Nakano, I'm watching her. I'm like, from my dorky UFC, I think I know how to do jujitsu experience. I'm like, you gotta turn your shoulder in towards her so you're on top of her. And Shuri lets that leg out, like kind of making it a little bit easier for her. And as Tom Nakano's turning in, she just goes unconscious there. And I'm like, oh my God, that was dramatic. So I'm going into this with Shuri just being like, nobody's fucking beating her. And it happens. And I think we get a good story out of it, but slightly disappointed in the short term because that would have been a final I would have been thrilled by.
Chris, thoughts?
Well, first of all, let me say that your escape from the rear naked choke is kind of shitty, Brandon. Just want to let you know that right now. And then, yeah, they did. Look, I'm not like we just you guys went through the match. I'm not going to go through it. We'll do this, and you said it already, Jim, but I'll repeat it because I it's one of the best things about this entire show. We'll get into it when we're done talking about it, but they did a good job of making me not know what the fuck was going to happen. Right. One of the things that we find ourselves doing when we go through, like, I'll bring AEW because they're always having tournaments and you're just like, well, that guy ain't beating that guy. The difference is that in Stardom, that guy sometimes beats that guy. And in everything else, you go, yeah, I can see what the final is. You know what I mean? So they did a fantastic job of camouflaging what the final was going to be, by pulling off things like holy shit, multiple holy shit moments. This was one of them. So good stuff.
Wait, Chris, what's the correct way to get out of the?
I'm not even going to even attempt to explain that via video chat on a fucking podcast.
So you just turn into him, right? Turn the shoulder in.
That's it. You're right.
Yeah, just turn your shoulder. Just turn your shoulder into him. Man, when the guy's glued to your back and you can't fucking move, just turn your shoulder in. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. That's how you get out of it. It's cool. Don't worry about it. Back to the floor is what your attempt is, and that's what you're talking about. You got to get your shoulders on the floor.
There you go. Interesting thing about this match is that Sierra beat Risa Serra with her game in the first round, the first match, and this one, Risa Serra.
Jim?
What's that?
With what? Her game?
Her game.
Oh, I thought that was like a finishing move, like a hurricane.
The striking and the submissions, and this time Risa Serra won with pro wrestling, because in pro wrestling is a legitimate form of fighting.
Yes, exactly.
In Japanese pro wrestling, it's different forms of fighting. Pro wrestling is a legitimate form. Ask Antonio Inoki. We can't. He's dead. All right, moving on. So we get the final. Julia, who wins the A block. I think it was the red block. I don't remember. Faces Tom Nakano in the final.
Julia
17
was
minutes.
blue.
Yeah. 17 minutes, 28 seconds. I like that they start the match immediately kicking the shit out of each other. This match is fucking great, man. This is my favorite match of the tournament. I think everything was building to this. Julia wins. Brandon, thoughts?
Yeah, we get the Buzz Cut rematch here. Delivers on probably what the best of Stardom has to offer here, and violence and precision, and both the opponents continually getting better from the last time that we saw them. A lot happened here. Probably too much for me to cover play-by-play ish, but a couple highlights that are off the top of my head. I like Julia going to Tom Nakano's taped up elbow at the beginning, just being like, you're not lifting me over your head throughout this match. We get some wild spots out of the ring throughout, almost a count out, and they're like, no, we're not in this like that. We're not dragging this story on. They come back in here, and in true Stardom fashion, Julia closes out with a sequence of moves that when she finally gets the pin and lifts that limp leg up, you're like, did she actually suffer cervical trauma, or did she? Is this just part of the show? And so fitting close in that event. So.
Chris, good.
I will tell you this, Tom Nakano, for somebody who is cutesy wootsy, emotional, she's a fucking animal.
Yes.
I mean, she's a legitimate fucking animal. When I look at her, she's always like, and then she just fucking brings it. What she got on her knee pad? Something like the cutest kawaii or kawaii from space.
Kawaii of the galaxy.
Kawaii of the galaxy. That's
Kawaii of the cosmos.
Of the cosmos.
Yes.
And she's a fucking animal. I mean, I really can't say much. Like I said, I've said it all night. You guys are now in describing what's going on in these matches. I really don't have much more to add, but just stiff as fuck, both of them. We get to see Julia draped in the gear, in the garb of royalty.
Yes, we do.
Yes.
So
it doesn't look like the Burger King at all. I think what's your boy's name? Fedora glasses, goatee guy. What's his name?
Rosie Ogawa.
Does Rosie Ogawa just run the Halloween store? Okay, I need a Scream costume. I need a King costume. Just bring them on, and they get them off the shelf, and they bring them in. Is that like the Japanese? You're more familiar with Japanese culture than the rest of us.
Don Quixote they go to.
Is that
Don
is
Quixote?
that the Japanese? Is that Japanese way of is that the go-to in Japan to get all your wrestlers special gear, laser beam fingers and angel of death for evil? And I mean, it's just, or do they just have, does
death matches? They have the cut off cans of beer. They just get those from the Family Mart. Drink them.
Acai, do they have stock in Halloween Express or
Spirit.
Adventure or whatever the fuck it's called?
Spirit. I like the old steal each other's finishers. That was a good fucking touch in this match. It's intense 17 and a half minutes. Tom Nakano doing the 40-mile dash from one end of the fucking stadium to the other to knee Julia in the head. But Julia wins. We get this is the big storyline. Julia she lost the white belt to Tom Nakano, got her hair cut. She ends up getting injured. She's out of the 5-star. She's, her faction, Syuri leaves her faction, starts her own faction, steals Mirai from her faction. Suzu Suzuki's fucking hounding her for the whole year. This is the culmination of 2 years of storyline. They cashed in. Yeah, Natsupoi, that was a big one. Yeah, there you go. She got a revenge on Natsupoi. I forgot about that. Jesus Christ. Yeah, Natsupoi just beat her. Left and beat her, beat the check on Julia. How's she feel now? How's she feel?
Right. You dummy.
She lost her match and her fucking boss lost. Fucking dork. Good.
I'm looking at a GIF of Julia in the royalty garb. And if I look on the bottom right-hand side of the screen, Tom Nakano is just still collapsed in the corner. Like, they didn't even get her out. Like, bring them all in here. Tom Nakano is still dead.
Hold on. No. Everybody left the ring. They dragged Tom back.
Oh, did they? I didn't notice that.
They did it last year, too, with Momo Watanabe. They dragged her back, and she looked like she just got out of a dishwasher.
Like, Momo Watanabe kind of looks like she got out of a dishwasher all the time. That's what makes her
awesome. Great hair now. Yeah, they pulled everybody out and they crowned the queen. This is great, man. Dude, go out of your way and fucking check this out. Particularly those Julia matches and Tom Nakano matches. Brandon, final thoughts on the Grand Prix?
You guys touched on it there, but what a target Julia has on her back from across the roster. I think that's probably the most interesting thing going out of this is the amount of ways that they can and probably will go. I'm assuming she's going to hold on to this thing for a bit, and there's a long list of compelling stories to be told.
Yeah, she has to. So she faces Syuri at the end of the year at the big show for the title. I would be shocked if Syuri beats her. I don't know. This story kind of writes itself. I wouldn't be that crazy. I mean, it took Okada a couple times to beat fucking Tanahashi. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't be surprised if she doesn't win, but I mean, this is storybook written. This is ready to go. Maybe it'll screw us over. Keep us guessing. That'd be nice. Chris, thoughts?
I'm curious. She was tag team partner with. She was in the Tokyo Cyber Squad, right?
Who's that?
Julia.
No. She's been in Donna Del Mon since the get-go.
So she wasn't the tag team partner of Hanakamura.
No.
Oh, okay. So I'm confused. Okay, that's
that was her first big feud was Hanakamura.
Right.
Before the shutdown.
Okay.
Yeah.
That my point just went out the window. No,
that's okay. She was tag partners with Syria at one point though. Final thoughts?
And my phone just went off, and I just read a picture that somebody sent me on Instagram about sending more dudes.
Send more dudes.
Oh God. Okay. No, I don't have any. Brandon, you?
Nope, we're done. Good stuff.
I do have a final thought.
There you go.
Yeah, and this was the thing we were working up to. Sorry. So after watching this show, I we were just kind of joking around about it. I click on the link and it's 5 hours long, 4 hours long, whatever. Obviously, there's an intermission and all this other stuff. So that's
got to clean the ring every 3 matches.
The ring and all that shit. Okay, whatever, doesn't matter. I turn this on. It was a fucking joy to watch that for that long. There is nothing in professional wrestling right now that is more entertaining, more well thought out, more well worked, and better. I mean, obviously, we sometimes Jim makes jokes about where they shot it, what they shot it with. Okay, whatever. Just don't watch those ones, right? I mean, they're kind of like minor ones. Anyway.
Yeah, you can skip those ones.
You can skip them.
Takadano Baba was the place where it sounded like there was a fucking jet engine in the middle of it. The whole match
was in Brandon's basement.
Fucking.
Is that still coming through?
No.
It was fucking terrible. But I sat through it. It was fucking terrible, that fucking venue. But go ahead.
Less than a year ago, we were watching these shows and we were saying it's tough for me to get into it because I don't know the backstory. I'm not familiar with these people. I don't know what's going on, and it's in Japanese, so I can't understand it. And in less than a year, with all of these things haven't changed other than the backstory stuff and who they are. They're still not telling me the story. The announcers are still in Japanese, so I can't understand what they're saying. This is the only professional wrestling, in my opinion, in the fucking world that is worth watching. Everything else pales in comparison to the storytelling, to the work rate, to the effort being put in, to the promo work, to everything that goes into professional wrestling right now. Everything pales in comparison to this. Nothing could come even fucking close. They have done this job of separating themselves from everything else not only in all those things that I said, but in the way that they do it. There is a style that they do that is different than anybody else's. They're not trying to be a female version of New Japan. They're not working like WWE. They're not trying to be like AEW. There is distinctive Stardom style that they do so well that it's more entertaining than any of these other wrestling products out there. I mean, everybody else that thinks like, that they got this thing fucking nailed down. And I guess what I'm talking shit on is AEW, right? There's a fan base for them, and we sit here and we basically have gotten to the point where we don't even fucking want to watch it anymore. And there's this women's promotion that a majority of US fans probably have never seen, never heard of, and won't watch. And they're blowing everybody else out of the fucking water. So get with it. Get on this shit. It's the only wrestling that I'm excited to see. I sat down and I turned it on. And like I said, I saw the time frame and then I started watching the match and I was like, oh God, yeah, I'm so fucking happy. I haven't been like that about professional wrestling in fucking forever. AEW has done, how many pay-per-views have we done of AEW? 6, 3, 9, who knows? The only exciting part about those pay-per-views is you guys coming over to the house and watching it with me.
Right.
Everything else about it, who gives a fuck? I don't even care. Right? I don't even fucking care, you know? And, you know, I mean, why is it so good? Well, they're not trying to be like anybody else. They're trying to be like themselves. Right? They're not trying to be like WWF. They're trying to be like, they're going to be Stardom. End of story. And also, if you think there's not a correlation between long-term nuanced storytelling and the ability to put on a good show, you're out of your fucking mind, right? Oh, I won a belt. I don't like you, Hangman. Shitty Clint Eastwood music comes on. It comes down. Oh, we hate each other now? I don't understand what's going on. Right? It's just, you know, it's fucking, there's nothing to it. It's just garbled shit. And this is fantastic. And I'm so happy we get to watch it and talk about it, and everybody else can suck it. Did you hear that, Jim?
I heard it. Suck it.
I'll tag on to that, and just say, like, I'm still not there where you're at, Chris. I'm sure people that if we should convince one person to watch this and that listens to us, I could be talking to them, because aesthetically, I still find it annoying. There's plenty of it that I know is just not for me. I've accepted that. If you can get past that stuff, it has all of the stuff that nobody else has. The stuff that you're probably looking for. The depth of the roster, of the storytelling, of the emotion in the ring, the skill of the wrestlers, and this is a company that, you know, during the pandemic we were talking about was like struggling to even make it by. It lost people, and what they've done with what they have is really impressive. You touched on earlier, to the point where when it's not the big events, you can't even get a good fucking viewing of it, because it's just shot from the side of the ring. So if you've tried to watch it and you're like, I don't, there's plenty of things up front that turn me off to it. I'm not just sitting there and being like, I think all that's cool now. I still don't. I still like Stone
Is it
Cold
the
Stars.
frilly outfits, Brandon?
Yeah, it's all of that shit. It's the music. It's like, I find that all annoying. I listen to it with the
My
sound.
wife
I find
hates
that
frilly
I don't-
outfits.
Yeah,
I don't
creepy.
want to just like not address any of that and being like, oh, now this is what I like. If you can
I'm
get
not-
past
Tom
that, which I
Bachman-
have.
She wrestles in pretty much a like a
Tutu.
a tutu, pretty much. She's 35 years old, man. She's a grown ass fucking woman. Why did you dress like a little kid like this? It's creepy.
Well, that's part of the creepiness of it.
Yeah. I just don't want to be like, yeah, this is just Stardom Guys pod now. Like, no, I'm acknowledging that I don't like some of that shit. But
Right.
it's still worth your time.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is that if some of the other wrestling companies, AEW, actually did put some effort into storytelling, then maybe I'd be sitting here saying that AEW is the best wrestling product on television. It's not just because it's not like recency bias. I mean, look at the things that we just talked about, right? All the things that just happened and what put the hook in me was the Natsupoi Tom Nakano storyline, where it was like,
Right.
oh my God, this emotion is actually working. As silly as it is, it's working. And you're actually putting emotion into it. You're putting some depth of character into it. And it's really, really, you're taking time.
Also, you know, you hear the reactions. Like Brandon said, he doesn't watch it with sound, but if you watch it with sound, you hear the reactions from the crowd. They're still not allowed to cheer these people.
Right.
None of them are cheering. Those the fucking ball bag guys,
Bone bag
dudes in the front row aren't allowed to cheer yet. And you're still getting massive reactions. Big when someone gets dropped on their head type shit. And I'm glad, Chris, and Brandon, I'm glad you guys are appreciating it, because of course I appreciate it. I'm the Stardom guy. I like women's wrestling, so I'm gonna fucking love it. But it's good to see that, you know, it's good to see other people are coming along. Because like I said earlier, it's flash in the pan. All they need is 3 other people to get injured, and all of a sudden we're not going to be as interested in it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That's how pro wrestling works. It works in cycles. Nobody thought that New Japan would be boring. New Japan's legitimately boring now. Hey, there's nothing going on in New Japan I want to watch. We'll try again at Wrestle Kingdom. But, that was my fucking shit. I carried that flag for that company for like 5 years. It's boring now.
And
So
then COVID hit and it just went to shit.
Yeah. AEW was the hot shit. Grab onto this while it's still hot.
Here's another thing I like to point out too. All you need is one person to attach yourself to. I've attached myself to fucking Momo Watanabe.
Right.
I wait to see her, if they were like, oh, we got wrestling and LVAC wrestling, or what's the other one? What's the one we went to up at fucking Jester's Beer Distributor or whatever
Yeah,
it was called. Weyerbacher.
What the fuck is it? Yeah, it's LVAC.
But when we went up there, if you said, oh, yo, Tom Nakano's on this show, I would be there and there would be no doubt. Oh, we're making that ride just to see her for 5 minutes. Right?
Yeah, speaking of which, Unagi Sayaka, she announced she's going freelance for a little bit. She's going to be traveling around the world.
Nice.
I will definitely go up to North Jersey and go see her.
100%.
Yeah. There you go. Final thoughts, Brandon.
I think I just gave them to you. I think that's it, man.
Beautiful.
Think it's a good spot.
Yeah. Real quick, IWGP Women's Championship. We got our competitors. They were named based on their ranking in the 5-star first round. Mayu Iwatani versus Momo Watanabe. And then we get Utami Hayashishita versus Himika in the first round, October 22nd, that show. And then there's Jazzy Gabbert versus one already. Jazzy Gabbert, if you guys remember, was like a big, muscular German lady from, she was in NX, what was it? The Mae Young Classic.
Mae Young, yes.
She was in the Mae Young Classic.
Got eliminated in the first round by girl from Philly, the ballerina.
The ballerina from Philly?
Mm-hmm. I think she was from Philly. She was in TNA. She was running with Deonna Purrazzo for a while.
I have no idea.
She put on a little weight. She had some problems with drugs and alcohol for a little bit. What was her name?
She's real buff, though. She's not a ballerina, right?
Well, she used to be a dancer, so she would come in and she wore a tutu and then take it off. I can't remember.
Tom Nakano.
No, it was Tom.
That's what happened to Tom.
Her name was.
But Jazzy Gabbert faces Kyrie on the first night of the tag championship. We got Tag League coming up. I mean, we're not going to pay attention to that, but we'll keep an eye on this fucking IWGP stuff. All right, that's all we got. Final thoughts on everything, Brandon. AEW, get better.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that's positive about pro wrestling as we creep up towards episode 100 here is that it's like right as something completely goes to shit, we've had something else to carry us over. We haven't had a fully dead environment very often, except for a couple of weeks there, where Jimmy was forced to listen to us grab about dog shit. But good stuff here.
We get Wrestle Kingdom coming up. We get the crossover event between New Japan and Stardom. At Wrestle Kingdom. We have Dave Meltzer said that they're not selling well. AEW, their tickets are not selling out like great. There's no interest. Nobody's excited about AEW. While WWE's doing fucking $2 million on a Saturday night now, 2.5 mil. Chris, go ahead.
I do have a final thought.
Yeah, good. You
got fucking blocked on Twitter by one of the biggest names of the biz. I've been waiting from the beginning to talk about this.
Oh yeah, shit. You got to bring it up. What's his name? Bob Ross
Sapp, SRS, dude.
Can I interrupt you real quick? The woman we were talking about was Kimberly.
Oh, Kimberly. That's right. Yeah. She likes to drink.
Name in WWE, but that was her name.
I think she likes to drink. Oh yeah, that's right. All right. So he was like, I think somebody called him out about just reporting something weird or not reporting something. And there was like, he just screen grabbed the guy's thing and reposted it, but didn't tag him. And then people were attacking this guy. Not Bob Ross Sapp, but the other guy. And he's like, I don't understand why he would do this. Like, he's supposed to be a fucking reporter. Like, this is just stupid. It's not about him. Like, he's supposed to be he's supposed to be a reporter. It's not how reporters act. And I just responded to him without tagging him. I didn't mention him by name because I don't follow fucking Bob Ross Sapp. I was like, Bob Ross Sapp stinks. The guy fucking stinks. Your point's proven. The guy sucks. And then I just noticed that I was getting this, in Twitter, you get those, you cannot see this because it's hidden behind a something, something, something. And I'm like, it's fucking weird. And then I did a little squirming around. I was like, oh shit, I got blocked by that fucking guy. Very professional. Brandon, thoughts?
I just think that's the funniest fucking thing in the world. Like, I don't know why that guy always comes up in my feed, and I'm like, I go back and forth between being annoyed by him and just being like, I guess this is what this is right now. But I'm like, oh, when I first saw it, I was like, we're on the fucking map here for a second. Jimmy somehow got in this guy's world.
Yeah, I didn't really do anything. I just said
not
he
a map
stinks.
by a-
'Cause he does
Well, you
stink.
did. You called him. You did. You said that the guy stinks.
He does stink. You gotta go after some random guy on the internet when you got fucking thousands of followers.
These are the people that are like fucking black mold in a dark basement that nobody looks at. It's like all of a sudden, if you just let everybody say what they want, and every wrestler can go do an interview and say that somebody hit them too hard. Now these guys like are making a 6-figure career. I just hate that shit.
Yeah, like what is this guy providing? He's dropping scoops, but he doesn't
Just bothering. You just bother people and call like, hey, you Jim, do you have anything bad to say about what's going? Chris, do you have anything going on at Nick's you'd like to say to the media? I'm here. And then every once in a while, Chris just spews a little bit, and then that guy makes another couple bucks a month.
Yeah, on fucking clickbait crap behind his paywall.
Don't.
I gave
don't
him
open that
$5
door,
too.
Brandon.
Fuck me.
Brandon, we prefer to keep that door closed.
That's what I was gonna say too. Like when we were bitching about AEW, it's like we text about wrestling, and I read everything you guys say, but I don't always answer because I'm like I don't have anything funny to say, and there's just not that much here. But then Chris all of a sudden starts texting us about his real life, and I'm like, ooh,
And
I'm
we can
like,
stop talking right now.
I'm interested. And it's like, but the only point I'm
And
trying
we
to
can
make is
stop
it's
talking.
like the only point I'm trying to make is like more dramatic shit happens at your fucking job than AEW is presenting to us. It's like, it's
Right.
hard. So,
And let's not pretend professional wrestling's highbrow entertainment. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah,
it's real fucking dumb. From Stardom to fucking everything. From Stardom
Everything.
to the worst
It's
shit.
dumb.
It's fucking dumb. All you have to do is present emotion, over the top emotion. The emotions being happiness, sadness, intense violence, like all this fucking goofy shit. Just present it over the top. And it makes it fun. If it's not fun, then it's not worth fucking watching. Oh, yeah, back in the day, like you're doing promos where you're like, yeah, WWE wants you to go back to that place. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
No, how about here we go. Here's a promo that would be like everybody would freak out about, right?
Yeah.
You two are talking, and you're talking about how you're gonna win the tag team. We're in a faction, and you guys are gonna win the tag team titles. The two of you are gonna win the tournament for the tag team titles. We're gonna be the greatest tag team. And you and I are gonna win the greatest tag team. And the camera pans out, and I'm in the background like, I'm jealous.
You're in the background.
Right,
Now,
like
all of a sudden, someone comes to the ring in a scream mask. Black gear.
hey, like,
Black gear, and it says Vader time, Vader time, Vader time, Vader time
Yeah.
on it. And it's like, who is it?
it was, but that's like, look, like, see, you guys just laughed at that whole explanation. It took 2 seconds, and all it took was me being jealous, like the face that you make fun of people that are jealous for, looking at you like in a corner.
Yeah, skulking.
I was also a big like you nailed it, Jim. In my professional life, people would be like, "You like wrestling, right, Brandon?" That's always your opening. Be like, well, you gotta first of all just own up to the fact. Like, it's dumb as shit. It's real dumb.
Yeah, I like it.
It's fucking
It's
dumb.
From there, that's where the conversation gets
Well,
interesting.
I'll tell you what, it's funny. It's what did I say? AEW was on a Saturday. It was one of those weird Saturdays it was on. And I had it on TV at work, and somebody was like, I don't understand this. And I looked at him, I said, because you're thinking too hard. There's nothing to be understand. It's stupid.
Stupid.
It's
real
just
dumb.
stupid. Just watch it and enjoy these guys fake beating the shit out of each other and flipping all over and acting like idiots. That's what this is.
Yeah, like the old gimmick where it's like, this stuff is so fake. You go, no, it isn't. It's real fucking dumb. And that's why I like it.
Real dumb. And this is
Real
why it's
fucking
fun.
dumb. This is so
was
fake.
everything else. Yeah.
Here we go. Point taken.
Oh,
Everything's made.
I know, Brandon, if you're interested in this, we can, WWE Extreme Rules is at the Wells Fargo Center on a
Yes, it
Saturday
is.
night
Mm-hmm.
this week. And in one of the matches between Seth Rollins and Matt Riddle, UFC Hall of Famer Daniel Cormier will be
Yes,
the
he will.
referee.
I saw that.
I did see that.
And I looked at my buddy. A buddy of mine's trying to get me to go. I was like, I ain't taking off a Saturday to go do that, buddy. Sorry. He's trying to get me to go. I was like, if it was a Sunday, I may pay just to see Daniel Cormier and leave.
What day is it on? Do we know?
It's on a Saturday.
It's this Saturday, right?
night.
Oh, it's this Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry.
I actually like did the
I'll be at work.
Go ahead, Brandon.
I did the scouting of tickets and be like, if this is insanely cheap, I would definitely go to it. But it's like $90 to get in the building. It's like,
Get the fuck out of here. I ain't fucking doing
So
that.
we used to. Well, what I did, I went to one pay-per-view at the Wells Fargo. It was the Punjabi prison.
Yeah.
I love
And
that.
I got my coworker worked at the Cadillac Grill at the time, which is inside the Wells Fargo Center, and the people that work for the building knew he was a wrestling fan. And when events don't sell, the building will send an inner office email out to the people that work there saying, hey, look, you can buy these tickets really cheap if you want to go. And they keep it inside the staff. And somebody forwarded him the email and he bought 2 tickets for $25. And then we had another guy we knew that was snuck us into a club box. So we got these great seats, but the whole time but we couldn't sit. We had to
You
stand
had the
in back.
PPP. You got the PPP loan, the Punjabi prison plug.
Punjabi prison, PJP. So we were in the back. We had to stand in the back. And if you've been in the club box, that's fine. You could see everything going on. And there's a guy with a Wolfpack NWO shirt on.
I've heard the story so many times.
The whole time. He kept screaming, I'm going to sniff Maria Kanellis' ass.
Hell
Meanwhile,
yeah.
it's a WWE show and John Cena's on the card. So there's a whole lot of kids there.
That's very adult wrestling fan too. Even in his fantasy, it's only just sniffing a butt.
Just sniffing his ass. Forget about having
sniffing the
sex. Because he can't lift his gut up to see his dick.
Right.
You don't know how to use it.
Just
So
maybe
what
I
happened?
could just sniff that.
So eventually,
Gangrenous
My-
dick that hasn't been
my-
hard in fucking years. Go ahead, Chris.
my friend, and Maria Kanellis was Michael Bennett was wrestling
Yes.
Sami Zayn. So it was early in the card. He's screaming this. So he gets yelled at by the security guy. Like, hey, look, I've been nice. You need to stop. He's screaming and hollering. My buddy's like, oh, man, I can't deal with this guy. I looked at him. I said, give him 10 minutes. He's going to be out cold. 10 minutes later, he's gassed to shit, leaning against the wall for the rest of the show.
He got gas.
The only thing that would have been better is if they
First
started
match
out
of the
with puke
card.
in his eyes.
Puke in your eyes. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, first match of the card, gassed out. Jim's gonna wear his Julia.
flag, my Julia flag. I'll be carrying my Julia flag while sleeping on my Stardom pillow.
dude.
That pillow doesn't look comfortable at all.
No, it's
Crinkly.
satin.
Like a garbage bag.
It's like a trash bag.
Japanese trash bag. Thank you very much. It's imported.
An imported trash bag from Japan.
I got all my toys. I think that's all I got.
I want
Let's see what else I got.
I want to see Jim's
Oh, I got a card. I
text
got a
messages
card
with
and a
his
figure for you.
liaison in Japan that buys him this stuff. I think that's what we should use our Instagram account for. I want to see him being.
Oh,
like,
look, shit.
I need this Stardom
Suzuki
pillow.
baseball card. There's a Suzuki baseball card.
I'll send you the 2,000 yen. And you get me the pillow.
All right, let's get the fuck out of here.
I'm
We got
out.
nothing to talk about. Oh, I'll be on Ring Rust Radio next week.
Oh, really?
Is it next week? No, it's
And
2
they're
weeks.
gonna see, and they're gonna pan back, and you're gonna be on the other podcast, and they're gonna pan back, and you're gonna be in the corner like that.
Yeah.
Where's it at? Is it a live thing?
Nah, yeah. Well, no, it's a bracket. It's a bracket for best horror movie.
This
It's
is
on
how
the
this
other.
podcast started. Was you sent me a Ring Rust Radio bracket, and I was like, you were the most entertaining guy on the fucking show. You should just do a podcast. Now here we are. So
Here we are. And now I get to go on there and be the most entertaining guy on the podcast.
and maybe
No, that
this
podcast
time
is
we'll
very good.
funnel
I'm not putting
somebody
that
our
down.
way.
It's very
No,
funny.
don't do that.
No, I'm not putting
it
it down. It's very, very fucking funny. Those guys rule.
We've gone to wrestling with
Donnie, yeah.
Donnie,
Donnie Wood.
and he's always a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I like that dude a lot.
Yeah, dude's a fucking riot. Yeah. Listen to Ring Rust Radio, especially for your WWE stuff. Listen to us for everything else. Because they don't really cover anything else.
There you go.
Yeah,
He does do
you
a
don't have to-
weekly rap.
I went to wrestling with Donnie too. He is very funny. I had a blast with him. I'm not
They
putting
also
anybody
tr-
down. I'm just saying I had more fun listening to Jim.
Thank
Everybody's
you very
good.
much.
Some
You're
people are
putting
just
me
better.
over. That's it.
They
They're all
also
very
treat,
entertaining. I was better.
we also treat each other with respect, and they treat each other like shit.
They hate each other. Yes. It can be entertaining.
Unless you start talking jujitsu with Chris.
Yeah, watch out.
Listen, I just don't want you to sound dumb because then the jujitsu cops will come to your house and
They'll jude you.
they'll jude you.
They'll jude you up.
Mirror me.
Kimura's all over the place. All right. Thanks for joining us this week and join us here every week at Wrestling is Hard. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at hard_4 wrestling. Subscribe and follow. Tell your friends. If you enjoy the show, tell your friends. Make it worth our while. Let's get over 50 people listening a week, please. I can't watch AEW much more weekly if I'm the
You
only
better
everybody
sell
listening.
on Ring Rust.
Please. For Brandon and Chris, I'm Jim, and we'll be back here next week.